Silent scan.
Hi everybody, this video is a compilation of information that is very important to consider and may even be the cause behind the phenomena, the Mandela Effect, which is being experienced by large populations globally. This video does indeed serve as a warning to all humanity and may be considered quite overwhelming to some. The sleeper population of surface level Earth will be activated through electromagnetic remote impulse systems, which will cause mass rioting and civil unrest. Economic disruptions and the associated disruption of local and international trade and resource will both lead to and amplify this unrest. All of this is planned and has been planned for a millennia. This is simply a small scale of control by corporate rule developed in the previous civilizations ago and in a much larger and longer scale. And there will be a total breakdown of control systems. There will be earth changes, catastrophes that will renovate the surface of the earth, the water level, the atmosphere and access to resources. There will be false flag alien attacks enacted upon the earthly population. And these attacks will be used within a good cop, bad cop scenario to motivate the population to accept the control of these alien invaders. The population will begin to reduce. And those survivors will be ushered into safe zones, which will be holding facilities designed to modify and groom the population. And these safe zones will be similar to intimate camps, but will be disguised under the necessity of safety and basic survival needs such as food and shelter and water and even companionship, or simply the facilitation of deception to coerce the population into these highly controlled areas where they will automatically be under the guardianship of those controllers and thus under agreement and contract, whether conscious or unwitting. In other words, they will be their best test subjects for experimentation, as similar to the wartime systems that were uncovered in Japan, Germany and later in the United States. All nations under social system rule are corporate entities and people are their assets. The quantum control methods, advanced technology, conscious entrainment, reality altering and mind control systems are literally here to design artificial timelines which can be technologically or electromagnetically inserted into the collective mind and used to connect one world with this overt domination by genetically modified hybrid soulless entities to one in which this control system exists. And so when such a complete transition begins, these systems will wreak havoc on the environment and the minds of the people, and thus these safeguards, good cop, bad cop, will be enacted to operate on the people and enable total control by the outside deceptive forces. There is a central universe and a mirror universe, and this can be likened to an antiverse, which is operated through an inverted mental spectrum. And this is the home realm of the invader races, and the home realm of humanity is the higher plane, which is an eternal plane of pure awareness. We are within a simulation artificial matrix in this reality, and when one system is transitioned to the other, only those who maintain a connection to the ultimate source reality will have any memory, and all the others will simply continue on as if this is how things have always been. And this took place last around 6,000 years ago and dropped the entire civilization into a relative hell. That is this realm. The alternate beings come from the lowest and the humans come from the highest. And they seek to dominate and falsify the one true creator in a billion-year enactment of spiritual war against heaven, or, in other words, they wish to fully separate the entire human race from their home reality of pure awareness and create an autonomous, soulless, hybrid organism that can be used to host the spirits of the fallen throughout the various ages where they desire to reign as immortals. And this immortality has already been completed, as they have been using host bodies of humans for the past 6,000 years. This was the infiltration known as the fall of man, and this has disrupted the genetic congruity of humanity to the point where a mind virus has formed, which causes loss of memory and enables the accessing of the humans by discarnate entities that are the lost spirits that have reduced in the frequency of the mind, so that they can no longer be born into a body, but most parasite a body and take over the consciousness of the original. And they have been among us for 6,000 years or more. Around 20,000 years is often given as a more accurate figure. However, one day, 100,000 years is similar depending on what angle you are perceiving. From the highest plane, 33 days will pass for the entirety of this process within the universe from start to finish. As these changes take place, a possibility of neuroplasticity on a mental energetic level is accelerating, and this will lead to a detrimental degradation for those who are seeking autonomy and domination, and this will act as a gateway to liberation for those seeking and embodying and bringing others and themselves truth and compassion, harmony, knowledge, free will, self-awareness and creativity. This system can be described as a simulacra system, and this is powered by quantum computers that control from a parallel dimension outside of what is actually a projected space-time, similar to an online multiplayer. And the server crashed momentarily and was reset, and many were lost, and those who are here now are the survivors. This system is unstable and will continue to develop errors which are perceived as memory glitches or timeline artifacts from previous versions. And this is continued collapse, as the collapse cannot be avoided, so we are in a temporary delayed meltdown of this space-time matrix. This is the end of the Maya, the false reality that the others are designing, are using to mimic the one true creator, to disguise themselves as forces of a higher power of creation. The false reality they desire is a dead end of consciousness and leads to the dissolution of the human. The true reality of the human leads to the dissolution of their false reality. And so others have witnessed the quantum collapse of a timeline. Advanced technology exists to entirely replicate events in this plane. Our true history consists of multiple resets, whereby the civilizations began again around the Middle Ages, which are not actual but are planned obsolescent resets in time. Cloning, mind-wiping and programming technology and directed energy weapons exist. And there are nefarious factions that utilize the human population to act as advanced military force for various operations, and people are drafted into operation through technology which enables the replication of the human body and thus the entrainment or temporary capturing of the human soul or body. There are also contracts whereby people are drafted either through coercion or temptation into the operating of underground groups. The conditioning process begins before birth and is intertwined with part of the selection process. There are hybridization projects whereby the human genome is spliced with animals and other genetics. There is an ability to merge DNA with technology to enable a cybernetic organism that can alter frequencies and matter down to the molecular level. Early civilizations such as Sumeria and Egypt knew how to transfer consciousness and clone human life and create hybrid organisms. The physical body and the brain can be programmed like a computer system. The mind, when in the realm of the body and brain, can be programmed like software. Christ is the anointing of the worldly consciousness with the higher or heavenly self, and this is a marriage between heaven and earth through the body. The body has been tainted and poisoned by the adversary groups to increase the difficulty of critical thinking and the activation of refined truth and harmonious self-frequencies. The soul is the combined choices and memories of the spirit throughout the body and all other instances in the physical illusion. The soul is part of the matrix and will not exist when the spirit separates from the illusion. And this is the veil, the soul itself, as a web connecting one to trap systems as a fractal, prism-like expressionism of multiple fragmentations of the truer higher awareness entangled in the physical realm. Marriage is literally simply through harmonization of the individual fields in a way that they are sustainable throughout eternity, rather than leading into chaos or disruption of the natural balance that enables life and experience. And the true liberation is about self-responsibility. The spiritual forces that feed on humanity do so because they do not have access to the physical forms and thus require a secondary host. There are followings and teachings that are the distorted versions of the original truth and mixed truth with lies to engage people and entangle their minds into submission to the deceptive practices, which then use their beliefs and energy as fuel for the creation of the fourth dimensional constructs, which are portions of the entire matrix. The entire system may literally be the overall coalescence of these internal, external dynamo consciousness constructs that are created by mixing truth with lies and selling that to people to ensnare them and cause them to create their own illusory afterlife, which creates a perpetual motion machine that is fueled by souls and suffering. And to shift is to rise above the suffering, the illusion, the victim character that one is required to accept in order to fit into the control system. All acts of inner harmony and truth conserve one's energy and disable the etheric ties that are an energetic mechanical aspect of utilizing humans as energy sources. Your thoughts are alive. They create the higher realm and an entire universe which one's mind lives within. The targeting systems that have been designed to work on the energy systems and entrain the weak points in one's mind, whether through sexual vulnerability, a desire of materialism, shame, guilt, fear, or other aspects of the illusion of self. The power of the human is to create what they think. This power is lacked by those who have used advanced technology to exist for hundreds of thousands of years as parasites, and they have lost their auto-regeneration process. Manufactured consent is required to carry out such an operation, and thus, without that consent, this would be seen as an act of war against the species, and thus the game is shut down. And so, with all this said, it is very important to remember that truth, self-awareness, harmony, wholeness, compassion, free will, creativity, and knowledge marks the path towards liberation. And the game is to control humanity through the initiation of self-destructive practices, and this is indeed the basis for the system. And thank you very much for taking the time to listen